All right, what's up and good morning, everybody. This is Alex, BM1 Alexander, retired U.S. Navy, 2008, officially retired 2018. On this one, take you on journeys as far as time spent, what it was like from back in my days to pretty much up to 2008, how you had chapters of the military. Coming in, like I said, I was on an ARS. That was my first ship, my first command that I got stationed on, ARS-53, U.S.S. Grapple. And she was a salvage ship, almost like a tow ship. Well, wasn't almost, that's what she was, but she did other things too. We did diving operations. We did salvage, of course. We unbeached things by legs, what we use is cable to get things off the beach. We did a trip where we went to South Carolina, brought back a sub, and took that over to Norfolk when I was stationed on that ship. My longest trip as far as return was when we left to go to England, Portsmouth, England, New England, British, where they say cookies and things like that, how they use their definition of their food items, things like that. They say it different. So that is where we headed to. I want to say this was 1990. If it wasn't 89, it had to be 1990. The only reason I feel it took place in 90 is because by that time, I think I became a fix on board the ship where I was, getting along. I had proven myself, things like that. So basically, I think I was in that time frame when it happened because I left it in 92. But anyway, we went to Portsmouth, England, and shout out to Portsmouth, England. Anybody who sees this video, especially in that time frame, this was like 89, 90 or something like that, and ran across a lot of good people, whether they were men or women, and was treated with great hospitality, shown around town, because we were there for a while. And used to come, we met people that would come back to the ship that we wound up being cool with, and they would come and pick us up and take us out with them around England, right? So I met a punk rocker, a female punk rocker, and pretty much nothing happened on the level that you would think it would, but it was so cool that we actually did a date. That's how long we were there for, a minute. And it was weird. I met her and I remember meeting her and stuff like that. And we hit it off and we wound up going on a date. She was a punk rocker. I'm talking about the hair, the fishnets and all that kind of stuff that they wear. And it was just surreal as far as seeing it. So that was like my first time ever meeting a punk rocker and actually spending time with them. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool. Other than that though, we went and our job, our mission was to go up there and get these 2 pontoon barges. And I had no clue. I'm still young in the game, so they know what's going on. The divers, the captain, everybody that's the important players, our master diver, they all know this of what is going on and what it's going to take for us to set this up in order to rig it to our ship and bring it back, right? So I'm just a tool, right? I'm soaking it up though, and I'm learning all this stuff. So we go up there and we get it and make it happen. We working during the day, and then as far as laying all the stuff on deck that it was going to take for us to set this up, I guess captain leaves, he goes have a meeting with the people up there and express, what how this going to get done. They set it up, do a walkthrough as far as, and I remember too, it was raining a lot. And it was in the middle of June, July. So it was not hot. It was warm. But during the evening time, for the most part, I know I kept a jacket on because it was chilly up there in Portsmouth, England. And so we're doing our work. If we're not off, we're working on board the ship while they getting everything set up, get the plans and everything together. And then it's time for us to go in action. And we lay out the cable. We got the boats and everything like that as we're hooking up. And it's not an in and out. This is, like I say, we was there for it felt like we were there for at least, if I'm not mistaken, at least close to 2 weeks before we actually headed back out and started heading back this way. And the only reason I say that because, like I said, I got to know people and we hung out with them. When we were off work, we didn't have duty, we hung out with them. And that was it. So we were there for a minute. But coming back, oh my God, the ship only does 15 knots. And we hooked up everything. We did what we call a Christmas tree method. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, it had to be Christmas tree because they were behind one another. They didn't have them side by side and, having them, set apart where we can control them and things like that. So this was a Christmas tree method where we had one barge in front, the next barge behind it, and we had to take our time coming back. So the ship only does 15 knots. We come back and it took us 30 plus days to get back. The only thing that was cool about it was we had smooth, for the most part, and calm seas. We didn't have any issues where we had to bring in cable, let out cable. I'm sure we was doing that because we had tension. Tension, I forgot the name of it. It's called tension, something for the cable, as far as being able to say, okay, you set the brake for a certain point for it to handle itself, depending on what the weather's like. And then you will have it set up where it can go out and, balance itself by you setting the brake how you want to set it. If I'm correctly with it, just, bear with me. I'm trying to remember because this goes all the way back a long time. There's some years. We're talking about 1989, 1990. So my memory on it is kind of vague, but I do remember that was our longest trip as far as bringing back 2 pontoons. And couldn't believe that we traveled from the United States all the way over there to bring back these barges. I don't even know what the connection was as far as how that goes. But 30 days, what do you do? Because once we left them, we talking about the middle of June, July. Once we left them and got back across where we had to get into that warm weather, because Portsmouth, England, when we got there, I remember it being chilly. It wasn't cold, but I know you couldn't just wear, it was damp, it was cold, chilly, and I just knew you couldn't go out with just a short sleeve on, right? And it was raining. It was moist in the air, so it was cold, a little bit cool. But we did that job, took us 30 days to get back, and I think that was my first longest trip. We hadn't done a Med cruise yet. I think that was my first longest trip. And we came back and it took us 30 plus days to get back. So what do you do in between? Well, we did a talent show. And yours truly, along with my partner, shout out to my man from KC. We called him Little Boy. That was his name. And we won the talent show. We did Belle Be of the Boat. And I remember we did The Girl Is Poison. We did Poison. That was like one of our favorite songs on board the ship that we always play. When Belle Be of the Boat came out with that tape got us through, right? We sat there and played that tape constantly on board the ship. And we did Poison and won the talent show. It wasn't even that many acts in it anyway. It was like we only had, like I said, 90 people for the crew and a couple of people, even though we were having it, if nobody did it, it would have never happened. But we decided to do it because we were bored, right? We did it and he thought it would be cool to do it. And we just said, let's do Belle Be of the Boat. So we did Poison. I took the singing, he took the rap side of it, and we just handled our business, and we won that bad boy. We didn't even we did a dance, the whole 9. And so imagine doing a talent show. And ships know that. They have talent shows on board the ship, believe it or not. And sometimes they're cool, man. When you go watch these talent shows, you see a lot of people, even though they're in the military or whatever, that they got talent. And when they get up there, they just go for it, not afraid to do it or anything, not afraid of the competition, not afraid of an audience. Once they get in front of them, they just go for it and do it. So yeah, seen the talent shows when I was in the Navy. But that took us 30 plus days to get back. And when we did return, I remember us breaking it off. I think we went to Norfolk, and I think a lot of times whenever we did something, that is where we were always going to hand off everything. And I think we handed it off to the tugboats over there once we got there, and we took it to Norfolk and got rid of it. If my memory is correct, and the only reason I'm saying that because I just remember whenever we did tows, we would always hand them off, right? Somebody would always take over, and we would set it up some kind of way where the divers knew what they were doing, and it went smooth, and it was like a handoff, and they would take over and take them from us. So that was what we did. That was my longest trip that I had ever done in the Navy. Even though it was even when you look at Med cruises, right? Because when you do a Med cruise, you're over there, right? It takes 2 weeks or so to get across, and once you get across, you're there. And you know, whatever you got to do, you do it. But you on that side of the world doing what you're doing. This right here was actually leaving from the one country to another country. Couple of weeks, getting it done, and then time to come back. We did 6 knots. That was almost the max we could do in order to stay in control of the barges. The ship itself only does 15, right? So you got to reserve fuel, everything you got to do. You don't want to be out there in the middle because there's nobody with us, right? There's nobody riding along with us. We are it, and we had to get it back. So shout out to the captain, took care of the crew, got us back, and you know, we had Steel Beach picnics. For the most part, if you want to call it that, it wasn't a Steel Beach picnic because we got a tow, and that cable's gonna be going side to side. But we had a way of still having a cookout on board the ship. I think they moved it to the front or something like that on a smooth day, and we just did that, and that's what we did. But yeah, we traveled 6 knots, getting that bad boy back to Virginia. And I remember that was my longest trip that I ever took. So that is one of my stories as far as what I'm saying was my longest time out on the water when it came to doing a job in the Navy. And that happens. So it's an adventure, right? The Navy is an adventure. Military period, man, is an adventure depending on where you get stationed at. But the Navy itself, to me, was like nothing else, right? It was an adventure on water, and there's a lot of things in my 20 years that I ran across and seen that was, you know, I wasn't a homebody, so I was out there, I was in it, I was grinding and having a good time and working hard at the same time. So I got a lot of friends through it where we became brothers, like sort of, some females as far as sisters and things like that. And but I pretty much keep up with my guys more than the ladies, you know, pretty much keep up with the guys more than anything, because that was the true definition of guys looking out for one another, because that's all you got. It's not family anymore. These people become your family, and you choose who's gonna be your brother, right? You choose who's gonna be your brother, and you make it solid. And you got each other's back. You have an argument, but nobody else can come between y'all argument, right? Nobody's gonna come between it. You can be in a situation where you might not even be speaking to each other, but if somebody else get out of line, oh yeah, ain't nobody gonna act like we're not talking to each other. We're not gonna sit back and let something happen to you, right? So we all looked out for one another. That's just the way it was. So anyway, that was me talking about my longest trip that I had to take and spend out on the water. I can't remember how long it took us to get there, but the ship does 15 knots. So I know we got there faster than we got back. I'll tell you that. And it was 30 plus days. I remember that. And we had some good water as far as coming back, as far as the travels. The sea was calm, it was flat. And for the most part, if you've never been out to sea, where you see how beautiful the water can look on good days, flying fish, dolphins, you may see a whale or two, right? Even may run across a shark. I only seen one shark my whole time in the military when I was on the ship. One time I spotted a shark, that was it. Other than that, I had a couple of times where we saw whales, flying fish, of course. They'll be on the deck. Sometimes you go out there to clean up and do sweepers, and you'll see a dead flying fish that flew up, and I guess he hit a wave or whatever, and he landed on the deck and got stuck. So you will see him on deck sometime. But for the most part, that's what it was, 30 days. So that is what I signed up for when I came in. Did it make you feel sideways sometimes? Yeah. I can be honest and say it actually did, and make you say, this is what I signed up for, right? And it will make you feel, you will rethink your options. You will rethink your options. But if you give it time, you'll enjoy it. And all I can say is, man, the time flies, right? 20 years, flew by like it was nothing to it. But when I hit my 20-year mark, I couldn't go any further. I was the first class, so I couldn't go any further. But I even think if I was a chief, I probably would have got out in them 20 years, because I was to that time where I was ready to do something different. My chapters were, I could tell that I didn't want to write anymore in that chapter for my book as far as the Navy goes, and my mentality. I was ready to go. So I would have got up out of there, I believe. And that just made it more easier, because that as far as I could go, I could take it. So when that time came, adios, and I was gone. So just sharing memories, and basically just saying that if you, like I say, man, if you're going into the military, you're thinking about it, just make sure that it's a decision that you can live with, because once you get up in there, right, it is a different world. It's a different world. You are everything that you see. As far as when you see trucks bringing food to grocery stores, that is a ship that you're doing side by side. Can't think of the word what I'm looking for. I look it up. It'll come to me. Like I said, some of the usage of phraseology we use, man, I've kind of like forgot about it and things like that. But when you're doing supplies and things like that, that is actually when you're out to sea. You're doing side by side with another ship. You're sending lines over, travel serfs, things like that, and that's how you bring stores to your ship, right? So when the ship said they need supplies, hey, they have a ship pull in next to them while they're underway. Shoot them lines across, bring them cables across, and then you just start hoisting and bringing your supplies over to one ship, right, from another supply ship, whether it's fuel or whether it's things that's needed for the ship. They transport them that way. You don't pull in a lot of times. Sometimes you have to do it out at sea. Oh, replenishment. Replenishment at sea. That's what you're doing. So you're doing replenishment at sea. Like I said, I've been out of this game so long, you would think you would not forget it. But when I got out, I did not take the Navy or military world with me. I blocked it. And for the most part, right, I see people wearing their hats and things like that. In that video, a couple of videos I did, I put on my Navy retire. But me, myself, I really don't walk around with those items on me, because that was a chapter in my life. But I can share the stories, because you do have people that do ask sometimes, what was it like? Because they're thinking about going into the military. So I just said, you know what? Maybe I just do some videos, and that way I can put it out there and promote what I used to do, some of the things I did, what I ran across, and maybe that'll help somebody out if they run across a video and see something they like, and they say, oh, you know what? I like adventure. I like adventure, and get paid too, right? Get paid for the vacation. A lot of people can't afford to take those cruises to go do what they do. But if you join military, hey, that's a good way of seeing what you want to see, because it does travel. It does put you in places, whether you do overseas or you do United States. If you're on a ship in the Navy, you're going to travel. All the rest of the branches, I'm not really sure too much. I just know they get stationed in different areas of the world, They get stationed in different areas of the world, and that is how they get around and do what they do. But in the Navy, on East Coast, West Coast, pretty much ships get underway and they go to different places, and not just going out and then being stuck out there in the water. They pull in the different countries, right? And you do get a chance to visit other parts of the world, right? So once you get there, you get to see what you want to see. And sometimes ships stay in for a while. They don't just stay 2 or 3 days and we out of there. Sometimes, a ship can stay in for almost 2 weeks, depending on what the mission was, and you'll be there. You just working and go out in time when it's all said and done. So you never know. But anyway, that is my take on my longest travel while I was there. That was the longest mission. And I swear, I was like, man, this is it. I think that was my first real travel experience on that ship, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think we had done a med cruise yet. I think we just did that. And I did 1.5 med. I did 1 full med with them, on the U.S.S. Grapple, and then I did a transfer where I had to get underway with them, right? And then once I got up to some part of Italy, and then I flew out and flew back to the States. And that's when I went to the Vicksburg after that. It was time for me to leave. I think my person that got there that was replacing me, and for some reason, I still had to do time on that ship, and I had to get underway with them. And then once we got up to some part of Italy, whatever, they took me off, and it was weird. I flew out, I went all the way over there with them. Didn't do anything. I'm just riding. And then once I got over there, as soon as we got to where we were supposed to be at, they were like, all right, Petty Officer Alexander, your flight is gonna take you back to the States. I said, man, was this a setup? No, that was just part of the building. I can't remember how that really took place because I was still young, man. I just went along with it. I didn't mind. But I had to fly back to the United States from that. Once we arrived where we had to get to, some part of Italy, and that's where they let me off at. I can't remember where it was at, but I remember them letting me off, took me in, and I was at the airport from early morning at the airport, and I couldn't do any. I had my bags, right? So I didn't even take anything off. If I was smart, I would have emptied everything off the ship, and then I just would have took a small satchel with me. That way I could have flew back with nothing, and I probably could have did what we were gonna do while I was there, and walked around, hung out until it was time for me to catch my flight, because my flight didn't leave out until late in the evening, and I'm talking about almost 8 to 9 hours later. So I'm stuck in the terminal just waiting to leave. And I got my sea bag with me and all that, so I ain't got nowhere to leave it and put it because they hadn't taken it yet. And they wasn't there to take it. So I got stuck at the airport. And I'm just sitting there waiting, twiddling my thumbs to leave out. But that was Saganella. That's where it was. Saganella is where they flew me out of. It's where they flew me from. And yeah, I was stuck there. But that travel was my longest one, 30 days, 30 plus days, coming back 6 knots on a 15 capable ship. If it wasn't 15, it may have been 20 at the most it could go, right? But I'm gonna look it up too to make sure I'm right. But I could have sworn it used to be the 15 or 20. I don't know why. I know for sure it wasn't 30, but it was like 15 to 20 knots that the U.S. Grapple and Grass could actually travel in speed, right? And for the size, that's still good. I remember when we did have it up, that bad boy be moving on a smooth day. It looked like we were rolling, right? But that's another story as well, as far as ship speed that I was on, CG-69. That bad boy used to get up. Them cruisers, yeah, them bad boys can ride. But anyway, cutting it short, getting out of it because I'm still talking about it, but that was my longest one. That's mainly what this was about. The longest I spent at sea was 30 plus days bringing back 2 barges on the U.S.S. Grapple. With that said, I'm out. Y'all be cool. Be safe out there. Peace.